Good afternoon and a warm welcome to you all. You can see I've got some fabulous guests with me here, so let's work around. I have Sarah Amis, who is joining us to ask questions, and she has been a student in our very first photographic workshop, so she'll be giving you some ideas about her experience. We have Vicky here. Welcome, Vicky, who has just been nominated for the Canadian Hairdressers. So we're going to be talking about, oh my gosh, how do you prep yourself for such an event? And we have the fabulous Josep Cartright, who is, of course, an incredible fashion photographer here in New York, fashion, beauty. Josep has shot so many award-winning collections. He really does know what it takes to win. And so today what we're going to do is talk not only about how you build your brand and what are your signature looks, but how do you invest in that to get that return on the investment? How can we get to that place where your photographs work for you while you are asleep? And how can we get that so that when you do a photo shoot, it can open new doors for you? So we're going to start off there. And welcome, guys. So great to have you here today. Really appreciate it. So let's dive into our subject matter. So first of all, Vicky, how did it feel to get nominated?
Pretty amazing. Pretty amazing and also stressful. But no, huge
amazing and stressful. Yeah.
Huge.
All right. So we're going to talk to you about your journey. Sarah, I know you've always been doing your due diligence and photographing your work with the phone. And then you had the studio experience. You came to a studio, and we're going to find out about your experience. But let's just, in the meantime, jump straight over to Josep and find out from Josep about, could you first of all give us some important tips, Josep, on what it takes to build your brand, and in terms of how do we find what is that signature look that is unique to ourselves?
Well, that's a good question. So first of all, we as artists sometimes have a difficulty understanding that we are a brand. We normally think of a brand as a company, as a car, but not as an artist. But in reality, you are, as an artist, you are a brand. You speak something that's very specific. And in essence, that's what a brand is. A brand has a particular voice that attracts people. And you have that. You are a brand, and the thing that's important is that you need to exercise that brand. You need to put it out there. You need to get an understanding of what your brand is and then push it, make it fun, make it interesting to people. So the first few things I would say about getting your brand recognized is to be authentic. Be who you are. Literally, it's very, very important to be absolutely authentic, because that's what endears people the most. And particularly when it's a personal brand, meaning something that it affects someone directly. And styling, hairdressing, artistry, all of those have created an emotional connection, and that attracts people. So if you're not authentic, people will literally see through that. They will get a sense that it just doesn't feel right. Sometimes they don't even know why it doesn't feel right, but it just doesn't feel right. And that's all that really matters. So first thing is to generally be authentic about what you create, why you create it, and why someone should be interested in what you're doing. Yeah.
Beautiful points. So this collection that I'm going to show you is something that Josep and I did together. And I wanted to take the most searched hairstyles on Pinterest, on Google, and I spent time researching what are the trending hairstyles that the consumer's looking for the most. And from there, I said to Josep, as we build out this collection, I want it to be commercial, but I want there to be an edge in there somewhere, which came through his photography, through the styling, and all of those elements to take a commercial aspect and just have it pop out a little tiny bit more within the line. Joseph, could you like add something to this in terms of the importance of what we did?
Yeah, what I loved about this collection is the weaving of what would be considered an everyday look, a very wearable look, but refreshing it and giving it a new overall vibe to it. The whole grunge element, we all know grunge, right? We all know glam, but the idea is to marry those two elements and create something. We never really create something new, but we create something with a different feel, with a different flavor, with a different attraction to it. And that was the objective of this, is to give the collection a nice edge that makes you just feel good about it. Again, I'm a big proponent of emotions, because emotions is really what generates a lot of your memories. So it just has an edge to it that you connect to it. Yeah.
Yes. So we're going to play a little quiz right now. I'm going to bring my friends back in and we're going to ask them their thoughts and so on. We're going to now do a little quiz, and you can put in the chat as we go along. We're going to talk about building your brand and style. So obviously that collection that I showed you, it didn't whisper, but it didn't scream. It shouted. It's something that's noticeable. So if I now look at your individual brand, Sarah, for you, when you look at the styles that you put out there on social, where would you say you are? Are you whispering? Are you more in the talk category in terms of the shout, or are you screaming?
I would say I'm between whisper and shout. Did you say talk? I would say that. My style itself is more classic. I like to be on the trendier side of classic, but that's also the clientele that I attract. So nothing too edgy, nothing too crazy. I like to do that when I have the opportunity, but that is not generally what I attract in the salon.
Okay. Would you like to attract it?
Maybe a little bit more, just to dive into more creative, like, especially with photo shoots and stuff too. Like, I would like to be in that creative space more.
Okay. Vicky, where do you sit with your clients and what you put on social media?
I would say I was right in the middle too. I'm probably more of a shout also. I'm personally an ambivert, so I'm known for my color. So I like bright vivids, but I also like classic highlight and classic polished looks too. So yeah, I'd say that I was somewhere in the middle.
Okay. So we've got Kay and Misty that are making some comments in the chat. Thank you so much for your wishes. I appreciate it. Where do you live? Because you've got to have intentionality around this. We will attract what is going to come to us is like a magnet. It's that boomerang effect. We put it out there and it's going to come. Obviously, if I was only ever posted very classic work, I'm going to pull those clients in, but I love diversity. So I appreciate a whisper, I appreciate a shout, and I appreciate a scream, but I'm very intentional around that. Joseph, I know from your photographic work, you can go from the quietest to the most dramatic. How would you say that your signature look is?
I definitely straddle between scream and shout, leaning more towards a scream, and that's deliberate, because for me, you always, from a creative standpoint, you're only really fresh if you're pushing and pushing and pushing. Some of that pushing sometimes doesn't turn out as you would hope, but that's part of the joy as well. I know sometimes people are afraid of failure. I'm okay with it, because I learned so much more from my failures than from my successes. So I lean more towards a scream, because I could always pull it back, right? I could always find something. I could always create a different look and a different vibe that's way out there, and then use it to create something that sits more in an acceptable realm, depending on the magazine or the client or the direction that we're going. You could always, pick up a few of the seasonings from a scream or a shout and apply that to something that's a little of a whisper. And then that makes that whisper ever so more interesting because you're wondering what's different. What about that looks so even weird but good? Yeah.
So for those of you who are just joining, Josep is a top New York-based photographer in the fun and beauty world. And Josep, my question to you is, when you work with a hairdresser who maybe has been quite conservative, and now you're saying, push it, push it, push it, they're bringing their conservative aspect into the studio. How do you get them to step out of their shell and discover more of their own creativity? What do you do?
The first thing that I really work on is building a rapport with them, making them feel comfortable, making them feel as though they're not going to be judged by what they do or what they know or don't know or what they've learned. The idea is to build a rapport, make it a comfortable environment for them to not have to worry about what someone is thinking about you. Because that's really sets us back a lot. We're self-conscious about, particularly as an artist, we're always self-conscious about everything when it comes to our creativity. So build a rapport around that, make them feel comfortable enough to settle in. Once you settle in, then you can do the dance, which is what I call it. It's a dance. Now that we're on the dance floor and we're comfortable with being on the dance floor, let's get our moves together. Let's see how this works. Let's see how that works. No, try that. I know you probably have done that a million times, but try it differently. Do it this way. Do that this way. And it's okay if it doesn't work out. But in the process of it not working out, you probably have learned something that you can apply to something else you want to do, even just on set. Oh, this didn't work. Yeah. Oh, well, wait a minute. I could do that instead. Yes. That's when the magic happens.
Yes. Beautifully said. Beautifully said. So guys, the next thing that we want to look at is your brand from a sensuality perspective. Sexy, boyish, or feminine. Whereabouts do you live? So Sarah, when you look at the body of work, what you put out there, in the past, were you critically aware of the sensual aspect of how you portrayed that woman? I know now you are, but let's talk prior to working with me and now when you're understanding, I need to make her more romantic, or I pull back, she needs to be tougher and more corporate and stronger. Talk to me about your experience there.
Okay, so in the past, before I started working with you, I feel like I worked more on intuition because I didn't ask a lot of those questions. I didn't use the consultation form, and I didn't know about the 3 wheels of fashion. Now that I do it, it's very intentional. So I would say that's the biggest difference. Is I went by feel and intuition, and now I go by actual facts and knowledge. So that there's a lot more confidence when you have those answers, rather than what you think about somebody. So I definitely fall into the more feminine, like sexy category. I don't have as many boyish, but I do have some. I like to. You just try to meet people where they are and with what they share with you.
Beautiful. Vicky, for yourself.
I would say the same. I'm probably in between sexy and feminine. I have a couple that I do androgynous. I think I used to maybe just feel it out, and I probably disappointed a few. But now that we ask the right questions, I really just try to suit it to their personality and their lifestyle and their favorite kind of look.
Beautiful. And Joseph, one of the things that I've discovered in the world of hairdressing, obviously on set, there can be a very androgynous sensibility that comes all the way through, from the lighting to the type of model that's cast, the way that her body moves on set, the clothing, etc. And then, of course, we can go to the opposite, where she's so soft and so feminine, maybe wind blowing through their hair, and it's getting into the essence of that. I know for you as a photographer, you're very intentional and aware of it, but how many hairdressers come on set and work with you and are as crystal clear about the importance of coiffing the hair and maybe shifting it out of the storyline, and you need to kind of rein them back in and go, whoa, 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 you lost the femininity there?
It's interesting. Yes. I mean, unless you have been a session stylist, meaning you've worked on photo shoots for a while, you generally walk on the set thinking that what you're going to do is create beautiful hair. You generally treat the model or the person in front of the camera as somebody that's sitting in your chair, as opposed to the fact that you're treating the model as a client, and in reality, the client is the camera, right? That's really what everybody's working for, because it really is about creating the image, and it requires a very talented team to create really amazing images. So what happens is, generally, I find that a stylist, until they get the vibe of the set, which is ultimately we're at the service of the camera, they walk in and what they're trying to do is just create something that's pretty, or create something that they feel should be on that person or their view of the vibe, until they wrap themselves around the idea of the concept or the art direction and service the story, which in turn will service the camera, right? So sometimes they'll come in and kind of just, oh, I'm going to do this, do that. And it's not really working for the storyline or the concept, because they're disconnected from the concept. And that takes a little moment to kind of get that. And usually you get that after you've done a bunch of shoots or the right team. That makes a huge difference, right? If
Yeah,
you have a
absolutely.
team that's mentoring you, that's guiding you, providing you the path to get there, you can circumvent a lot of that work time to get there quickly.
So guys, I've had incredible hairdressing mentors in my career, but I've also worked with incredible photographers in my career who've been such a guide to me. Because when we're going through these little wheels of consideration, which is how quiet or loud is your image and your brand, how feminine, sensual, androgynous is your image brand. The next one going to come to is fashion. So when you put the three circles together, you complete personality, lifestyle, age considerations, the sensuality of that woman, because we're talking about women right now. And so you're looking at all of those things which create the persona of who that person is, how they project, how they show up in the world. So when I was on set doing things in my earlier days and even more recent years, if I got so wrapped up in the hair, I lost the big picture. And maybe it started to drift off in a direction that it needed. I should have reined it back in, because I was so into the hair that all of a sudden the look that had been romantic got tighter and tighter and tighter. And think about this. What we're saying right now is about how do you make your images you take with your phone stand out from the crowd? How do you make the front, side, and the back be beautiful? But what's the next level to that is working with a pro. And the professional eye of Josep and a team of his caliber working with you, guide you about, no, you're just going a little bit off there, like bring it back in, okay. And all of these things of conducting the team and guide the team is what we do in our own small way behind the chair every single day. We're looking at the client's personality. We're looking at how feminine or not the client is. We're looking at age. Obviously, we're looking at face shape. Obviously, we're looking at body type, of course, but we're looking at fashion, because this is a vital accessory to the world of fashion, but this is only 1/7 of the body. And when you get this right, everything looks right. But when you get that wrong, everything looks wrong. And the camera, when it loves something, loves it. But when it doesn't like it, oh my goodness me. I mean, I've had times in my career where I felt like I wanted to quit just because of the type of picture I did. It was really quite tragic. So let's just go to this next image here, which is, of course, the fashion part. Sarah, where do you see yourself, classic, trendy, edgy, as your brand and your style and the kind of clients you want in your chair?
Definitely classic and trendy. I do have a couple of clients who are more edgy and who allow me to play and do some, more, just some more creative things, but generally between classic and trendy.
Absolutely. Great. Lucy's making a comment here. The consultation form has taught me so much more on the sensuality. Now she's trying to the fashion in and the lifestyle, but it's been a big thing for her. Susan saying her style is to whisper. We've got William in the house. Thank you, William, for being here. William is actually going to be joining you, Joseph, or us, for the photo shoot. He lives in California, so he's coming in. Yeah, so a shout out to William here.
William.
Vicky.
That's okay. I'm a little bit of all three, I would say. I have my classy clients. I have my like polished clients. I have a few edgy ones that just let me play. And normally most of them that come to me are trendy.
Okay. And Joseph, where would you say that your style as a photographer lives?
I would have to say all of them, to be frank. But I think for me, I love classic, but I like classic with an edge to it. So I think for me, everything has a bit of an edge to it. Because again, as I said before, you're really not creating anything new today. What you're doing is an iteration of something that's been created and putting your creative bend to it, making it your own, bending it in your creative form. And to me, that's adding a slight edge, making you really comfortable, but uncomfortable at the same time. Because we need to wake you up visually. We need to wake up your eyeballs. We need to make sure that something to you is appealing, but different enough for you to pause. And that requires a little finessing. Usually that's edge.
So for example, guys, you could do the most beautiful haircut and it is 5-star. It fits the client's face shape and there's something she's not quite happy with. And you're trying to get your head around it and you're kind of focused on the technique and the execution. You really gave it your all and you're thinking, what's missing here? Well, it may be that the hairstyle should be a whisper and you pushed it into a shout. Maybe it's a little too tight. Maybe it went a little shorter. Maybe it went a little extreme in the blow dry. Then you could think about, well, you know, I was really working on this beautiful finish and maybe you lost a little bit of femininity because the hairstyle became a little too tuned up, a little too tight again, and it started to have a hardness to it. Maybe you're working on your hairstyle and you're doing your magic and maybe that client is a bit edgy and you went and played it safe and you made it more classic. So it's not just about the technical execution of the style that you do, the color you do, the hair extensions, the perm, all of the different services that we offer. It's about the emotion attached to how quiet or loud should that color be. It's the emotion of, is that blonde sexy or did it go into being very feminine? Sexy can sometimes be much more bold and bright. When you're thinking about your color, did you shift it from classic and you made it too trendy and it's starting to shift into edgy? So this for us is our map in developing the brand that fits for you. And as Joseph said, it's about being authentic to yourself. So today I'm challenging you to ask, what are the important things to you? If somebody was going to be writing an article on you today, would they say High Range Line in Nottinghamshire, UK? Jolly good. Thank you for joining us this late on the day. And I know it's a holiday in the UK, so thank you for joining us. When we're looking, it's like, okay, where do I feel my most comfortable? So for myself, I am not frightened of edgy hair. I grew up in London. I grew up around a lot of creativity. Edge for me is very comfortable. In fact, classic came weird to me. So even when I do classics, I want to give it a little sparkle, a little bit of an edge. I get all the different aspects of how a woman shows up, and I love every aspect. The most important thing is I get this right, because that's the essence of how a woman shows up in the world. So, you know, if she is feeling like she's hiding behind her femininity and she likes to be more rawness and powerful, she may see femininity as a weakness, where another woman can love showing up romantic and feminine and she sees it as a goddess power. So everyone has a different perception and I don't judge them at all. what's important is you get the right look on the right person and don't get so narrowed down that you're looking so much at the hair that you lose sight of the bigger picture, which I think is really important. So what I would suggest is take a look at your Instagram feed and ask yourself, where do I live in the whisper, scream, or shout? Where do I live in the sensuality, boyish, and feminine? Where do I live in fashion, which is the edgy, classic, and trendy? And ask yourself, right, this is my style, define it. Right? Now ask yourself, after you've done that, where am I going to take that? What's the next step in that? How do I expand? The best way is playing around, number one, with your phone, your camera, but the ultimate is to be able to work with somebody like Josep. He can then nurse you along and take you to that next level and bring out that confidence. So Josep, when you're working with somebody that maybe new in the world of photography, we spoke about confidence already. So you work with very experienced photographer people, that's their gig, and you work with newbies coming in. So talk to me about the conversation, first of all, around the babies coming in and how you're getting them to understand how the camera sees the look and how to encourage them to open up and step into their game.
It's fascinating because people tend to be afraid of the camera, and I can understand why. And it's a lot of it has to do with the fact that the camera has a completely different eye than we do, right? And there are very valid reasons for that. First of all, the camera, despite the fact that we think we see it, but in reality, when you take an image, every image has no depth. Zero depth. All you see is height and width. Depth is something you imagine, believe it or not. You imagine it, you take a look at an image, and all the depth that you see there is all made up in your brain. I know that's hard to fathom, but in reality, every depth that you see here, your brain is going, that should be there, so I'm going to put it there. That's why a camera flattens everything. You've heard that expression, it looks flat, it flattens. That's because in reality, the camera is doing just that. The camera is literally flattening it because there is no depth. Depth can be mimicked in your brain and supported by mostly lighting. Lighting is the trick to creating depth. And the thing with hair requires tremendous amount of depth because they can't see your work or differentiate texture or curl or even different highlights of hair without depth. And the trick to that is lighting. So that's one of the things I tell somebody that's coming on set is that expect it to look different. Our job isn't to fight the fact that it looks different. Our job is to use the different and learn the limitations and then work around it as best we can. And that entails many different things that you would not do to a client. Because again, the client is the camera, not the model. And we're working towards what the camera sees, because at the end of the day, that is why we're all here. We're in service of creating that image. So we work on what are the tips and tricks to actually overcome those limitations of the camera, right? So that's kind of the first conversation. So don't be afraid of it. Just realize that those limitations are there, and we just need to together work around them. And that kind of appeases people and smooths them out a little bit, because now it's no longer a fight, it's a game. That's when we start to move forward.
And our lovely friend from the UK, Fringe Line, I love your comment there. My clients, you said that my clients, when we go to your comment, old school stylist that can do any style that suits my clients as they have my reputation on their head. That's a really great way of saying it, right?
Yes.
So here, for example, going to that next level, a classic look is beautiful, an edgy look is beautiful, a trendy look is beautiful, but it's about who is wearing it. And we're talking two things here today. One, the brand that you are creating, that you create every single day behind your chair, and you get your phone out and take a photograph of it. Then we're talking to you about that next level where you're saying, you know what, Viv, I want to go to that next level. I know that it's going to help me establish myself to become like the best in town. So that's where we're offering our photographic workshop. Joseph and I, we work with you. It's over a period of 6 weeks. What we do is we have 4 virtual sessions before you show up for the live in New York. And we break down the building of what it takes to create your photo shoot, to create a collection, the whole creative process, as well as the logistic that go into creating it. When you arrive in New York, we have a day of rehearsal. Joseph, last time, it was amazing. He showed each hairdresser with their phone how to photograph their work with the phone. And he played around with all the different links. So Joseph, just share with our friends what you did there, because Sarah also got to experience that.
So as part of the first day, what we try to do is impart not just the whole photo shoot process, but also taking some of this knowledge back with you that you can use every day. And what you use every day is your phone. But everybody's kind of uncomfortable using their phone. They don't understand what causes the images to not look right? So we went over a lot of different things. First of all, we went over different types of lighting, soft lighting, hard lighting, why this affects the face this way and the hair that way. We went over shadows, how to work with shadows. Also worked on angles. What type of angle is great for this person? What type of angle is good for that person? We also went over the idea of how to get somebody comfortable having their picture taken, how to create that rapport. The idea is that if you make somebody comfortable, they'll play with you. So we worked on all those elements on how to create images with your phone at your salon in your environment. Yeah.
Yes, it was an amazing experience. Mm-hmm. And I just want to show you Sarah's beautiful image here that she created. Oh. Sarah, talk to us about your experience and what was your biggest takeaway. And again, a great image you created here.
Wow. Okay. So there's a lot, but I'm going to keep it short. Leading up to it, the classes that we did, I'm going to start there. One of our, homework assignments was go in our space where we work every day and find the best lighting, take a mannequin or a client and go all over your workspace and find your best lighting. And that was actually very interesting to me because I've worked there for 7 years and you would think I would already know that. And I did not. So that was a really fun experience, like experiment for me, is discovering where were the best shots that I can take my clients to for lighting after I do their hair. The whole experience from the creativity standpoint and creating an image, because we all got to create our own image in one collection. And so it was beautiful to see how different everybody is and what they all came up with. I was amazed by that. I love our industry and I love how we're all so different. And it was a beautiful thing. And between you and Joseph and your expertise, we got done early, with the practice the day before. That was incredible because we got to kind of work the kinks out. At least some of them are, and be ready for that day. And I felt fully prepared and really excited, really the whole time. It was a stretch. It challenged me and I loved it. It was one of the best things I've ever done in my career. So.
Joseph, You've done a lot of team projects before. What was your experience working with this new team?
First of all, I was impressed with the skill level. I know that sounds weird to say, but we just don't know how much we know until we're challenged, right? And the skill level was amazing, and the willingness to be part of the team was really amazing. We, as stylists, you pretty much live in a silo, right? You've got your own space, you've got your own environment, and you're in control and in demand of everything. Taking all that and then being in a group environment and taking support and direction from other people, not just from Vivienne and myself, but also all the team members played well together. They really did. There was an immense support for each other, which is brilliant. This is another big part of this workshop, is learning what that process is, because you're not going to be great at photo shoots until you really master collaboration. Because you can't do it all. You can't do it all. Yeah. There's no way you're going to do it all. Besides, you don't want to do it all. You need the expertise of different people to color you, right? Because ultimately, you want your canvas to have different colors on it. You want to have different takes of it. And that's a big part of what I enjoyed about the class, was that I saw everybody just coming together. People were lost at one point, and everybody jumped in. And all of a sudden, a few minutes later, things were moving again. Amazing. That was really good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Vicky, what are your thoughts about what we're sharing? What's your takeaway from today?
That's so true, that your team is so important, because you do get so involved in your work, and sometimes, other people can see things that you don't see. And the camera will always see things that your eyes don't see. So stand with the photographer or look in the screen so that you can see your first couple shots and know what you need to fix. It's incredible to be able to work with so many other good people, like wardrobe and makeup is a huge thing also. And yes, of course, your photographer is the king. So yeah.
And guys, you know what you can do? You can do a fundraising exercise on any educational adventure you're going on. Your clients, you'd be amazed how much they will support. I've known people that have done raffles. They've got their distributor to donate products, and they've done a raffle because they want to go to NAHA. And the clients get all excited about that. So there are very creative things you can do to help fund your project beyond the obvious GoFundMe and so on and so forth. And obviously, when you go into a studio and you're booking professional models, a studio, a photographer, makeup artist, fashion stylist, and all the things that go into producing a professional shoot, it's a high investment. Now, can you do it cheap? Yeah, but you're not going to come up with the same thing. And when you're wanting to be educated, there's nothing like being set around people that will pick you up when you fall down, give you a hug when things are getting difficult, and just be with an encouraging team. That's the one mission, to produce a beautiful collection. So if this is of interest to you today, what I invite you to do is to just book a call with our team member, and they can see if you qualify for this, because obviously we have to take people that are very committed to wanting to produce beautiful work and are prepared to invest in themselves. And I promise you, when you invest in something like this, the return on that investment is huge. Sarah's work has already been published in a beautiful magazine. We already entered some competitions, and it's just the whole process of doing that. So the plan with this next one, it'll be published, and we will enter competitions. And so it's about you leveraging whatever you do that is excellent, and just know that it's just wonderful to be around brilliant people who open the door to your creativity, because possibly you could feel like this beautiful bird in a cage. And I have news for you. The cage door is not locked. The cage door is wide open, and there's no key. You just need to trust the process so that you can soar and fly. And that's creative process. And sometimes you need the magic of a Joseph that's going to say, yeah, that's looking brilliant, la, 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 la. And then you soar. It can be the most profound thing that changes where you're going in your career. So think about what we're saying today. Today's summary, we've been talking about an intentionality about building your brand around the 3 wheels of fashion. And being very careful about a message that you put out there, because what you put out there and amplify will come back. If you're classic, you're going to get classic back. If you're rock and roll, you're going to get rock and roll back. If you love diversity, you'll get diversity coming back. So don't negate the power of a great photograph and putting yourself out there in that wonderful world of the law of attraction. It really does work. It's not hocus pocus. It's called branding, and it's called self-promotion. It's that simple. Joseph, anything you'd like to share with our friends before we say goodbye?
I'd just like to say, push yourselves, really push yourselves. Get out there, take a chance, because it's all about enjoying yourself and creating memories, and in that process, creating something that's unique for yourself. If you push yourself, even if you fail, don't be afraid of failure. Failure is the process. I say that success is built on a mountain of failures. Mm-hmm. Just go for it. Really go for it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So well said.
Yeah.
So welcome to the Biggest Losers Club, but we're still moving on and we're growing, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. It's all good. It is so true. It is so true, Joseph. So well said. Vicky, anything you'd like to share with our friends before we say goodbye?
Yeah, just every single photo shoot you ever do really does make you push yourself, and you learn so much. It's insane how much it makes you grow as a stylist. Yeah. Just do it. It's so much fun. You're going to love it.
Yeah. Sarah.
Yeah, I would just say be open and look for opportunities to push yourself. And because your world just gets a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger. And you have people that will come, your support system just gets bigger. When you stay by yourself, when you stay really safe, it's quiet. You don't really get to know yourself and what your potential is. So
Beautiful.
be open.
Thank you so much. Beautiful. Guys, thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you for sharing a little bit about yourself. I'm sorry, I keep referring to Frenchline because I don't know your name, but thank you. You're an educator. You've worked with L'Oreal. That's wonderful. So just love, guys. And if you know somebody that you think this will make a difference in their life, do something magical today. Share. And that would be beautiful. Thank you so much, Joseph, for being with us. Can't wait to be by your side shooting.
Always. Bye, Vicky. Bye, Sarah.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you, Sarah.
Bye,
thank you so much,
you.
guys. Take care and bye for now.